all day. All right, so anyway. Let me know if like this is working. This is my second time recording and everything. All right, present to everybody. You'll share the screen and I'll get through the things relatively quickly here. If you do have questions though, like that come up, just stop me from talking and let me know. So I think when you think about working as a BoA, so I chose this picture because as some of you might know, this is young Bruce Wayne, and he's just like a kid, and he has to run this company and work with like a board of directors and everything. And obviously, all of our board members are older than us. I mean, maybe minus if you have like Brandon Cedarblade on your board, but we're college kids, and I think it's a big challenge to rein in a group of professionals, which is a substantial part of the LSP role, being that external representative. So the purpose of this call is just provide you the information, of course, in here, and all of it's pretty self-explanatory, so I'll try to get through it quickly. It's also all available on the resources hub if you want to look at it. And then, of course, near the end, we can have questions and also GCPs. So I think Sujay and Maital would have some good things to share with the other two. And here is here are the topics. All right, so we're talking about the process of growing your BoA, and honestly, it's extremely similar to creating your BoA. So you first obviously need to, with any type of thing like this, you need to assess what your needs are. So for example, Sujay is saying that want to get into GE. So you probably want someone from the startup or entrepreneurial community, or maybe we OGV, we were in pretty much a city-focused LC, and now we're expected to run OGV. So you might want someone, another person from your university, or someone who is passionate about international, travel and opportunities on your board. So that's the first thing, is identifying like the type of profile of person you want, and then after that, so the process of, so how do I make this happen? Like, how do I reach out to them? So honestly, with it's any type of sales you're doing or any type of recruitment or anything, right? Like the place to start is referrals. So obviously, of course, look at your own personal connections, the connections of your VPs, any current BoA members you do have, alumni in the area, ask around who do you think would be good for this. And hopefully, I mean, you all should probably be able to get a good list of candidates just based off that. But if not, of course, you can always browse LinkedIn using the search parameters to find the type of person you're looking for. So that's very briefly how you can go about finding people. So let's say you found somebody and they'd be perfect. And so now what do you do? So obviously you want to reach out and set up a conversation with them. Grab a coffee or a beer or something, just depending on what type of person they are. And so the building a relationship starts here. It's very important to get to know them first, their background, build that rapport, and whoever you have on your board. So you want to make sure that they are aligned with the purpose of ISEC and that they actually understand it. So when like Sujaya said she let some board members go, maybe they just didn't feel that connected. You know how it's like some people join ISEC because they're looking for something to put on their resume. Believe it or not, in the professional world, it's similar. So some people are interested in being on a board of advisors just because it shows that they're involved or something to their colleagues. So make sure that they're in it for the right reasons as well, that they understand the purpose, and also communicate what you want to achieve, what your goals are, so that they know where you're coming from and the value that you think they could bring onto your board, whatever kind of specialty or expertise that they can bring. And then, so after that conversation, here's where you kind of gauge your level of interest. What I like to do, instead of asking straight up, I mean, you can if they really are into it, like you could ask them straight up to join your board. But what I like to do is invite them to the next meeting, or if the next meeting isn't for a while, set something up where they can meet the EB and some of the other board members. And this, gives them a chance to kind of test the waters a little bit and just really be sure about if this is something they want to be involved in or not. And so whichever way you do, whichever way you go about it, if you ask them to join your board right now or after, creating a space where they can get a better idea of what it would be like, you make it official. And so I talked about this in the other call, but it's good to, whenever you're onboarding someone to BoA, just like any other thing we do in ISEC, it's important to have a procedure. So here's just an example. And again, a lot of the stuff in this call is just an example. And you guys might have a better idea or a better way you think you could do it. But so in this example, the BoA candidate can provide their resume and submit a statement to you and maybe the rest of the board as to why they want to join and what they could bring, like what value they would be bringing. And then so obviously that you want the EB to be in consensus about this person and have any current BoA members be supportive of bringing on this person as well. And then I highly advise them signing a BoA member contract. There's an example on the Resources Hub. It basically lists out what their main responsibilities would be, and they know what they're being held accountable to, or what will be expected, the minimums that will be expected of them, and then also lists on there what they can expect from you as the LCP, and then you'd both sign that. So I very much highly recommend doing something like that. Okay, so I know Braden and Lexi haven't held a meeting yet, so I think this would be very useful. And Sujaya, Maital, maybe you guys could have some things to add here. So when you have a meeting, right, you present some sort of report in some sort of fashion. So basically, before you prepare the report to present to the BoA, you want to pick your topics, carefully and allocate time to them. So maybe you want to prioritize, OGV or your focus program, or maybe some major issues within your LEC. Most meetings last generally about 2 hours at the most, so don't cover like every single little thing, but just the major things. And lastly, it needs to be interactive, just like any other meetings. You're not going to get any value by just like yapping the whole time. You want to hear their feedback, their advice in these meetings. So here's some examples of things to include. This is definitely not all. So it's important to have contact info of yourself, the EB, and also the other BoA members, so that if they want to, they can collaborate on something. Any relevant national or international updates that are going on. Like if you want to, it depends, I guess, how connected you want them to be to the organization on a national, international scale. So if you want to talk about Abdo getting elected PAI, or back when the OD model was created, like that was a big topic to talk about, stuff like that. Of course, anything that's going on with your LC. So Rock just happened. We have this many new members, etc. Let me take a drink of my coffee quick. And then of course you want to get into functional updates. So obviously numbers is a pretty big thing. Your performance. So where you're at in terms of your goals versus reality, your growth compared to last year, main strategies you use, bottlenecks, etc. So that's good, and it's good to talk about what worked and what didn't. But I think the majority of that time would be better spent than talking about looking forward and how you could improve this coming quarter, and then getting feedback on that. And it's always good to leave with some sort of action steps. So if you want to connect a BoA member to each member to a VP, saying, okay, if something that was discussed within the meeting, they can follow up on. Let's say, for example, you have a faculty advisor, and they are going to set you up basically to be able to come and speak in several classes or something like that. And of course, time for discussions and stuff afterwards. Again, these meetings, if BoA members do want to hang out and get to know you as people, so I recommend creating a space afterwards for getting dinner together or grabbing some drinks or something like that. I guess Maital, Sujay, do you guys have anything to add to this that I might have missed?
So for us, what we did at our transitional board meeting was we presented Mosh's house to them. So we presented the like the way we were going to be planning and going into things like WNC. And then in our first BoA meeting, we presented like what we did at WNC. We had replanning since then, so we presented that. But we also we I got some advice from somebody about BoA, and it was that like every BoA that we were having, we were just reteaching them ISIC, and that wasn't helping because like either they know or they don't. Like because for our BoA, it's these people have been on it for a while.
Mhm.
So what we did this time was we had 30-minute functional updates, and then we left like 45 minutes for, or we had like an hour and 15 of like functional updates, and then we left like 30 minutes where we tackled like three big issues that we were seeing in our LC and seeing any advice that we could get from them.
Yeah, that's a pretty good format.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah, it's great to have a space where you can actually work together and come up with solutions for something instead of as opposed to just like sitting at a table looking at slides or whatever. So that's great, and I definitely recommend something similar for everybody. Okay, so before your meetings, here's just some tips, of kind of setting up the process of it. So, like I said, in general, they last about 2 hours. In my experience, I guess, and from other people I've talked to who have had board meetings. And again, I do recommend extra networking times afterwards. And so one thing, so like Lexi and Braden, what you guys want to do when you're setting these up in the future is get these meetings on their calendars as soon as possible. Like at least, I mean, you want it to be on there months in advance because these are very busy people, right? They're most likely full-time business professionals, and so you want to get it on their calendar, make sure that nothing will come up and that they won't have to like bail or we want to make sure that they have it on there so they know they'll be able to attend or not pretty soon on.
Hey, Ian,
Yeah.
can so something like Gil and I did when we were going through transition is like we set the BoA dates. So we set them in like October of last year. We emailed them all out just so they had like honestly like a year's notice. And then we always like in our emails to them remind them of like the upcoming ones just in case they can't make it. And
Yep.
that's been helpful, like to not have to deal with that under my term.
Yep, exactly. That's a great way to do it. Transition is the perfect time to do that. So now, if any of you are in a situation where it wasn't like that, make sure you set these up as soon as possible. And what you can do is on Google Calendar, put like placeholder and ask them, to either accept if they know they can make it as soon as possible, so you can tell if you're gonna have to move it or not. And then continual reminders. And I talked about this a lot more in my first call, but you want to be engaging with, and we'll talk about this probably a little bit more today, but engaging with them, more often than one meeting per quarter, obviously. So you want to make sure that they're mindful that that's coming up as well. Okay, so business professional dress, obviously you want to show that we are a professional organization. And the packet, once you have the report ready, send it out at least 3 to 5 days beforehand so that they can have a chance to read it or download it on their iPads or print it if they're old-fashioned, whatever, just so that they're not spending the meeting reading it over and instead of listening to the discussions or contributing to discussions. And again, so you want to confirm who will be there. So even if they say in the Google Calendar that they're coming, just reach out to each of them and make sure that they'll be there. And then I recommend hosting it somewhere on campus or the office of BoA member, or even if there's like some sort of room at a restaurant or a bar that's kind of secluded, having it there can be good as well because then you can grab some food or drinks afterwards. Okay, so during your meeting, like anything else, you want to make sure that they can arrive early, ideally. And again, make sure it's interactive. Like, what Maytal was saying, their meetings are like, you want time to discuss and tackle issues, not just yap your mouth the entire time. It's important to have a note taker so that minutes can be sent out afterwards. Again, prioritize. So which functions speak X amount of time so that you can allocate time accordingly. Yeah, and so that's pretty much have already said all of that stuff. And now this is extremely important. You want to just fucking follow up, honestly. I've heard stories where BoA members are so committed to coming in and delivering a training or giving like $1,000 for a conference or something, but we don't, follow up with them, and so it doesn't happen. The chair of my BoA always says, he's like, I'm not doing shit. You have to come to me. So if there's a conversation that happens, it's up to you to follow up as soon as possible, like later that day or the next day. And then send out the minutes, probably within a week or so after the meeting. And even if if some board members weren't able to attend, you still want to, make sure that they know what's going on, and so that they can still contribute and be held accountable the same as the board members that were there. So make sure they, go through it, or even if you want to set something up with them, to meet with them and make sure they know what's going on and how they can contribute. Because again, you want to leave these meetings with action steps. And so you want to give these members action steps as well. Okay, so that's that. That's the meeting. Again, so Braden, Lexi, you can go on the Resources Hub on the Drive, and there's a document on there that outlines it. There's an example of a BoA report on there for you to look at if you need somewhere to start. So next we'll talk about engaging the BoA and what that can look like, what they can do with your LSC. So you have to get to a certain point, right? So I'm about to give some examples of ways that BoA can help you. But there's a few steps you can take to make sure that they will be in a place to actually contribute. And so the first, is building trust. If you ideally you would have met with every one of your board members during transition. But I know that's not how it works for everybody. So you as LCP, it's important that you build a level of trust with each one of your BoA members. And so you want to meet with each and every one of them individually and get to know more about them as a person. And also, again, communicate your vision. What is it that you want to achieve in this next year? And make sure, do your best to rally them behind you, just like you would your EB or your LC. Because then they're most likely to contribute, and you can utilize them better or more easily. So do what you can to get them aligned with your vision and how they can help with you achieving that. And then this is just a good practice overall, is to offer to give before you take. So they might need assistance, whatever they're working on. For example, if if they want a university contact or something, I don't know, just whatever. It's just a good practice in general to offer to give something before you take. That also goes in with building that trust. So there's a few things you can do to set yourself up for actually having a BoA that contributes and is behind what you want to achieve in your vision. And so again, make sure that you do what you can to put them in a place where they can contribute. So ask them, how do you want to help? Okay, so now our goals, what we want to achieve. How would you like to help us with that? And then the setting proper expectations, that goes back into when you're onboarding them, right? And you have that member contract. So what the minimum requirements you expect of them are. And don't be afraid to ask for their help. That happens as well. As a lot of LCPs, I think, get intimidated once in a while by the fact that these are business professionals, but you ask them to join your board for a reason, and they're on your board for a reason. So the worst that can happen is they say no. So I think Sujaya and Mattel mentioned this, but yeah, it's great to just match each member with someone on your EB and have a mentor-mentee type of thing going on, and have it based on their specialty. So for IGT, it can be someone who maybe is great at networking and stuff and can really help your VP with that. For OGV, actually, what you can do is, of course, someone with your university. Otherwise, I find that a great profile of person that can help with OGV or OGT is someone who has experience working with international teams. So someone who might be in a large company and has a team with members all around the world, so they can really help with international relations and just what it's like to build those global relationships. So someone maybe in supply chain or something like that. And then invite them to events. So if you have even like some attraction events on campus, just invite them. I mean, why not? It's another chance for them to get to know you and your LC members better. And then, of course, creating additional opportunities to engage with the LC like outside of just a quarterly meeting. So maybe you have an LCM that stakeholders can come to, or you have some sort of dinner that you invite them to, or a happy hour, a networking happy hour, social, those types of things. And so here are just some examples, and we can discuss this more, after I get through the slides, is ways that they can contribute. And so here are some examples of how they can contribute towards exchange. The most obvious being incoming, of course, so they can give warm leads and referrals. They can either set up meetings or attend them with you. In fact, I highly recommend that. BoA member gives you a referral. Ask them to just come along on that meeting, because that'll build up your credibility a huge amount right there. And networking events, go along with them to a networking event and have them introduce your VPs or your members to a bunch of leads, or just help them with networking tips in general. So with the housing issue, so Sujay was saying, it'd be great to have someone either help maybe fund housing or, host. It's not unheard of. It's happened before where BoA members.
Now, Ian, while you are right, what I need, like what's really hard is to find people that will lease out an apartment for 3 months, for like GE or something like that. So what we need is a short-term housing solution. Like, I don't think that like our BoA members are about to and I don't expect them to like host anyone or like fund us, but if they can just like help us find places with short-term leases, like that would help. You know what I mean? Or like help develop like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
does your campus do something like that? Because I know that like our campus has like year-round housing for like students and like college-age students in the area, and they can like break and like start a lease at any time.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, that's so nice. I wish we had that.
Same.
Okay, I guess. But so you want to find like short-term apartments or leasing? I mean, are they in a much better position than you to find that though? I mean, maybe they have connections, but other than that.
That's why I was saying I want to find someone in real estate or someone that's familiar with housing in Austin for my BoA.
Yeah, I see. I see what you're saying.
Because you're right, they're probably not in a better position than us because they probably don't know anymore.
So real estate, would be a great place to start for that. All right. And then obviously the ideal way they can help is take TNs themselves. Do any of you have any TN takers on your board?
We have one. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
That we re-raise with. We're trying to get more with.
Great. And if the others, if you guys have TN takers, they can also be a great addition to your board. If you have a great connection in the company, they can add a lot of value because they've experienced the program and the impact themselves. So I highly recommend having a TN taker on there. Or if you don't, really, and again, don't be afraid to ask and really make a case for your current members taking TNs in their companies if possible. Okay, and then some examples for OGV. And I must admit, since I do have an IGT background, these examples might be somewhat limiting. So if anybody does have any ideas that aren't on here, that'd be great for the group to hear. I think the most obvious is having a faculty member on your board and using them to connect you to different university departments, administration, whatever it may be, just access to the student market in general. But beyond that, if so you want a business professional, you have a lot of business professionals on your board. So ways it can help with OGV is really helping you look at ways of marketing or customer service strategies. And again, giving donations to cover some exchange fees. That's obviously a great way they can contribute is sponsor basically some people going abroad. And then what I said about IR knowledge. So if someone has an experience working on international teams, this can be extremely valuable. Okay, so with that, I guess before I move on to the next slide, is anything else? Any other ideas, especially with OGV, that you guys currently are using your board members for?
One time we had our board members come to LCM, and one of our board members is someone who had gone on exchange. So it was kind of cool for them to like reflect on their exchange experience in front of the LC and sort of describe how the exchange experience was beneficial for them in the professional world. Because sometimes it's hard for students to realize, you know, how it's actually a resume booster and how it can benefit them in the long run.
Yeah, something I found is like OGX as a whole is kind of on the back burner of our BOA's mind. Like they are also like finance, IGT focused, but us talking about like how OGB for us is our focus program got them more engaged because then they wanted to like understand why. So explaining to them like the reasoning behind that, because as business professionals, I think it's just like natural that they're gonna gear more towards that, like the IGT finance side of things. But explaining how like having OGB as a focus does this really helped us. Also, we have somebody on our board who's head of HR at a company, and so using her in terms of like kind of like using her for marketing and how to like get the right people, like recruiting the right people has been really helpful for like OGV. And I know my VPTM and OGV have like both worked with her to help with marketing.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's and I think that's an issue a lot of LCs have is, you know, it's easy. Their members always want to help with IGT, and like they always love hearing about ISEC US's weird financial system and situation. So yeah, very important in making a compelling case for exactly why OGV is a focus, and you know, really getting them to understand just how things are going on the local, national level and everything. Oh, okay. Yeah, that I can see that. I can see that being a very hot topic. Yeah. All right, cool. So if you think of anything else, you know, we can discuss further at the end. But these are just like very, I guess, brief or basic examples. Okay, but beyond exchange, obviously they can help in a lot with, you know, you're at the local committee level. So of course, you know, team management leadership training for either yourself or your EB, really depending on who you have on your board, they can help with a lot of different things because they have, you know, knowledge on a lot of different topics. So let's say for Braden, maybe someone, maybe you want to get someone on your board who, you know, has a lot of management or leadership experience, and they can help you with, you know, improving how you lead EBMs. Really, any kind of training you're looking for, you take that into consideration when you're looking at either your current BOA or who you want to bring on. Planning feedback. So you guys will probably, I imagine, be doing replanning some point soon, or just, you know, revisiting, readjusting. So what Boston did was, right after WNC, they had a meeting with their BOA and presented their plan. So like Masha's house, and we're able to collect feedback on that, which was very valuable for them. So that's another use for your EB. And then of course, just like they could potentially cover OGV, they could also help with getting delegates to conferences. So how you can do this is explain the importance of these touch points and what it means, what having members attend this conference will do for you in achieving your goals for the year. And so again, it's just like explaining the why, just like with OGV, so that they're more likely to be willing to donate and give money. And LC as a whole, so, you know, sales or some sort of soft skills training. Madison just a couple weeks ago we had our board chair come in and deliver sales training that was applicable to, you know, OGV or IGT. A replanning type of thing with your NLC, or having them come and help out with induction or LC retreats, something like that. I know LCs do. And then merchandise. So I'm not sure if, yeah, I think some of you do have merchandise. So believe it or not, I know a few LCs who actually convinced Madison being one of them, their board members to cover the cost of merchandise. So they care about finances a lot, right? So this is an opportunity for them to invest in something that will bring the local committee money. So merchandise can be a way for them to do that. And then getting them nationally involved. So I'm not sure if you guys know about this yet, but Danielle Lee, the director of ISEC Life, actually sets up a national BoA call soon after the board of director meetings, and she'll definitely like send you an email or something to let you know about this coming up. But this is a chance for your BoA members to become, just more connected, I guess, nationally with other boards and share GCP, stuff like that. So it's definitely a lot of value added there for them attending those. So keep those in mind. Look out for those when they happen, and definitely encourage your BoA members to attend those calls. Okay, so the last part here is management processes. So yeah, I mean, we'll get into it. So with growth, of course, comes a need for management. And again, you want to hold them accountable just like you do with your members. So highly recommended giving your BoA members terms. It's really however you want to do it. It can be, I mean, I'm recommending in these slides 2 years in length, but that's just a suggestion. One thing you do want to do though is make sure that these terms are staggered so that they don't all need to be renewed at the same time. Because if, let's say, you have 5 BoA members and they all begin their terms at the same time, and they are all going to be renewed in 2019. Well, if some of them decide not to come back, then you're going to be left with suddenly a much smaller BoA. So I recommend like having some terms, due in 2016, some 2017, just make sure they're staggered so that doesn't happen. And then once they do want to renew a term, renew that for successive, in here 1 year terms, if it could be a few years as well. Oops. Okay, and so again, with this, you want to make sure there's a procedure for renewal. Just like you have your members reapply each semester, you want to make sure your BoA members submit something to explain why they're interested in renewing their terms. Shitty members, you might not want them back anyway. So you want to reach a consensus with that, just like before. And then with removing, so Sujay obviously went through this. Maybe some of you have as well. If BoA members continue to not do shit, you can remove them. And so what you might want to make it formal. So like have the EB as a whole submit a report or something like that, and sign it, and then present it to the rest of the BoA, and I guess get their votes and their opinions on whether this person should be removed or not. However, something I've learned, not just through engage with BoA, but just like being an LCP in general, is that someone's not performing or not contributing, don't be too quick to blame them. Think about what you can do on your side to improve it. So, maybe it's they don't really understand why you're focusing on OGV. Maybe they don't fully understand what you need to achieve. So just make sure that on your part, you're doing as much as you can to get them engaged and get them to believe in what you want to do and in a place where they want to contribute. Because just maybe that isn't happening. But if you do all that and they're still just on there to have something on their resume or whatever, you're more than able to remove them. And then lastly, recommend having a chair. So Lexi, Braden, I'm not sure if you guys do, but a chair is basically the head of the board of advisors and can serve as your direct mentor. And available, you want to make sure that they stay on for a couple years in the role so that they can help with transition. So basically, this is a board of advisor member who is more involved than the rest, who extra responsibility. All right, with that, okay, and then guys, so all this information and much more, like I said, is all in the Google Drive Resources Hub. So if you need to know more about any of these topics, go there. It's all there. I just want to take you through it briefly here, and finally, just use a space for discussion, because your realities are all, I guess, Lexi and Braden, you have very different realities than Maytal and Sujaya. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing the screen. So, oops. There we go. All right, guys. So what issues are still, like, what do you still need guidance on, I guess? And then what can be shared that you think might benefit the rest of the group? Oh, shit, Alyssa's here.
I just have a quick question. How often should you have BoA meetings? Is it like once a semester, once a month, once a year?
Oh, so most LCs do a formal BoA meeting once per quarter. Like I said, that's like the formal space where you present, you know, how things are going, collect feedback, and discuss problems. But like I said, I recommend interacting with them much more often than that. Whether you want to set up, you know, just meet them for drinks. And you as LCP should be meeting them pretty often anyway. So I know you haven't met yours yet. So that's, I think, your first priority, Braden, is, you know, grabbing coffee with each of them.
Yeah, and I know that Sarah's relationship, like, there wasn't really one with the BoA under her term, and then her predecessor's term, like, kind of dropped the ball, and, like, that's where it's like, if they're there, I just don't know who they are or how they can really help.
Okay. Well, do you have a better idea now about how you can reach out to them and how fruitful a BoA relationship can be?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it's very helpful.
So yeah, I definitely think that probably want to should definitely get on that as soon as you can.
Yeah.
I have a couple questions. So my first one is, I think Maytal, you talked about when you email your BoA, how often do you just like send out emails? Do you do it weekly or bi-weekly?
Honestly, it's usually like the week before we have a BoA. It's just like a reminder. We send them the financial report, so kind of like the budget, what that's looking like, because they always want to know about that. And as need be, like if there's an update, like actually the TN taker that we have on our board, like the name of the company changed, so he emailed all of us, but I don't really email them most of the time. It's mostly our chairman of the board, which I really do recommend because it's just like kind of what he's honestly like the LCP of their board. Mm-hmm. Like he makes sure everything's like taken care of. It's like it kind of takes a weight off of your shoulders, but gives somebody like there's like a person responsible.
Yeah, some feedback that I got from my BoA, we definitely don't email them like weekly or monthly or anything like that. It's like Natal said, the week or 2 weeks before the meeting to remind them that it's happening. I was all over the place as a new LCP, but I basically emailed them a Google slideshow of a report that I wanted them to look at before the meeting, because a lot of the time we spend so much time in our meeting going over the report last year that they said they wanted it beforehand, but I like forgot about it. But they want the email at least a week beforehand because they're busy people, so they need time to like go over that stuff. So I would recommend if you're gonna email them anything, do it a week before the meeting or a week before the meeting. Because I fucked up, so don't fuck up with me.
Advice I have for all of you. It's very important to email. So something I did was email them actually like weeks or so, because I wanted ISEC to be fresh in their minds. You know, it's all about like leaving a trail, planting seeds. So whenever like something happened, let's say we raised, you know, we created more opens for IGT, or we got close to reaching our goals that month or something like that, just sending out like a monthly status update on that are going on the LC. So it's fresh in their mind, and they don't have to wait until the next BoA meeting to like fully know it's where things are at. It's all about keeping it fresh in their heads.
Okay. And then another question, do you guys do the mentor system? I've heard of some LCs that have some BoA members basically mentor certain VPs, like the HR person on the BoA would mentor your TM or something like that.
Yeah, we do. And the way we did it this year, actually, I really liked it because in the past it's been like, there's just been a bigger focus on IGT, whereas now we kind of allocated people based off of resources or based off of their experience. So Actually, that's exactly what we do with the lady who's in HR. We have her paired with Eileen, my VPTM. And then actually our chairman is a mentor to my VP IGT because he's also involved in like very, I don't even know how to describe it. Like they're all allocated based off of their experience and everything, which really works for us. And I track if they're having calls and everything. So nobody like doesn't.
Just to counter that, we do not do the mentor program because ISEC already has a mentor program, and my VPs who are interested in having a mentor signed up through there or didn't. And that's just an extra thing that you have, like Maytal said, like she's having to track that. That's just an extra thing that you're gonna have to track, and it's an extra thing that your VPs are gonna have to like, because like they talked about at WNC, like it's your responsibility to set up those calls and like set up those meetings and stuff like that. So in place of that, we're doing those fireside chats, like the whole BoA and the whole EB is gonna get together for like 2 hours and just like talk about life tips. That's like a bad idea. I'm just giving you another perspective.
All right. Anything else? And then.
Do you recommend trying to get your BoA to use Slack? Cause that just like would be something for us that can learn, but
I don't think that'd really be necessary.
Okay.
Because I mean, they're, for one, like they probably have no idea how to work Slack or anything. I mean, I guess it depends what kind of people you have on your BoA, but for them, I mean, what purpose would you see that serving? Like, would it be for them to communicate with each other to see what's going on in your LC, or what?
Yeah, we just kind of started using it, and it's really helpful. Everybody's always on, and like we have like a channel just like strictly for EPs and saying like, oh, we got this EP to apply, or like this EP was approved or accepted, or things like that. And I think like just so they can always like, maybe they don't check it every day, but they can just check it like as often as they want to just get a general update. So it's not like anybody's dropping the ball, but they like always know what's going on.
Okay. I mean, if you think that they would want that, fine. But also, you might not want them to see, hopefully you're just using Slack for work purposes, but you might not want them to see like ratchet discussions or things that are going on in there. Transparency is good, but selectivity is good too. Okay, so again, I think main takeaways. So we talked about a lot about what I guess LCs with not a very strong BoA situation right now can do. But Sujaya and Maytal, so how often do you guys meet with your BoA, I guess, outside of quarterly meetings, or like have you met with each one of them individually?
I personally have not. That's partly because they all live in Atlanta and we live in Athens, which nobody thinks, but we are an hour and 15 minutes away, and we have a board of like 7 people. So trying to find a time to meet with all of them is kind of hard. But what's happened in the past is BoA members have invited like VPs to come tour. So like our chairman of the board works for Home Depot, so he is always inviting us to go tour like the Home Depot headquarters. And then we have another board member who's invited VPs to come visit their like office space, like where she works. So it's more of that relationship. Meeting with them one-on-one is something that like I think could happen over a phone call easier. And like I said, for us, it is just like I communicate a lot with the chairman of the board, and then he's really good at communicating with them because it is such a high turnover rate every year.
Okay. Yeah, if you, in your situation, yeah, a phone call or Skype or something would be fine. I can't recommend enough that it happens in some form because you, as you guys all learned at your rocks, you are the CEO basically of your LLC, and the more, and also serve as the gateway between the board members and like the LLC. When they hear something about the LC, like they're thinking, you know, of you and how what you're doing to manage it, I guess. So the closer they feel to you and the stronger relationship they have with you as an LCP, I think the more connected they'll feel to your LC as a whole, and the more likely they will be to contribute. So that's one thing I really can't stress enough. And I actually have an example. I forgot to put it on the slide, but look, I've been lucky to, like, I can confidently say, become friends with the chair of Madison's board over the past couple of years. And when I sent a final email signing off, and this is like, I guess, an ideal situation, maybe like a goal relationship goals thing for you guys. He said, okay, this was his email to my response. It said, as I've always said, you're fucking awesome. I will take a bullet for you. He said, let me know how I can help you anytime for life. So here's some other inspiration. Yeah, is that the stronger relationship you have with these people, like it'll continue beyond your term as LCP. So there's a lot of advantage to you personally as well in really building up these relationships. And you as LCP are the best place to do that. Your VPs should be doing it too, but it's most important for you. And he ended up covering costs for our merchandise. He ended up he's looking at taking GEs. He goes on meetings with our members. He provided money for our newbie social for alcohol. The guy's crazy. So, but it all starts with you building that level of trust and that relationship.
I will say that after I was elected, like in December and January, I also met with my BoA members. It was really beneficial because they bought me food, like they paid for our meals, so that was like amazing. But also then I got to hear their ideas of what they liked and didn't like from last year, so then I could make modifications to our BoA meetings accordingly. So that was really good. In terms of relationship, the chairman of my BoA is super cool as well. We ended up like staying an hour more than we were supposed to, and he learned about his girlfriend, and then we talked about like relationship problems. So that was cute. I will say that like adults aren't horrible, so he's cool. I don't know. He gets to
on the flip side, like my chairman of the board is like great guy, very kind of like uptight though. We do not have the kind of relationship where like if I said the word fucking around him, I think he might die. But like really valuable resource, like past ISACR, I value his opinion and everything, and we do have a good relationship. He has never bought me food, but I'm gonna work on that now. It's a goal.
Nice. Yeah, it's, you know, your relationship is good when they're buying you food, or, you know, whenever you go out with them, you never have to pay for anything. That's always great. All right, so I guess, is there anything else? Any other issues or questions that have been unanswered? And Sujay and Metallic, I hope you guys are still able to get something out of this. You're in a much different situation than the rest on this call, but I hope you're able to get something.
Yeah, I mean, definitely come reach out to us, like if you have any questions or want anything. Like we obviously don't have like perfect, like no BoA is perfect. Like ours is definitely not, but it's definitely interesting, like kind of managing that side of things too. So if you ever have any questions, I'm sure Suj would love to answer questions too, so you can prepare the best. I think that's a yes on her end.
You called name wrong, and I just cannot stop laughing.
It's fine.
Wait, I keep pronouncing it incorrectly?
It's, well, okay, so like I pronounce it like May tall, like born in May and not that tall. But Sujaya, shut up. Like it really, I've heard it anyway, so.
Wait, what's the correct way? So I don't.
Okay, so like I'm born in May and not that tall. May tall.
Tall. Is that not how I was saying it?
Wait, say it.
Maytall.
Okay, that's correct. I think
How was I saying it?
I think you have a Wisconsin accent that
Yeah.
Suj isn't used to.
Yeah.
It's almost to Texas. It's okay. Alex Sharp said it the same way for a while. We can still be friends again.
So again, Resources Hub, check out there for more information. Biggest thing for all of you, even Sujay Mittal, is just really focus on building that relationship as early as possible so that you can see the outcomes of it, and you can have them actually contribute in the ways we talked about before. Yeah. Cool. Well, if there's nothing else, then I'll stop the